So you see how much kidnappers are looking for victims.
My thing is, problems with the, I think all the stakeholders in this, they need to get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once again, the support your energy will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Tuesday edition of Inside Nigeria. My name is Bode Badiba, and with me this morning is our guest analyst at Tekojo Samson Usman, a lawyer, journalist, and public affairs analyst based in Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Samson.
Good morning. It's a pleasure having me again.
Thank you. Welcome to Inside Nigeria. All right, this Tuesday, as usual, viewer, we shall be dissecting these stories on some national dailies and as well enter discussions of trending stories of the day. And as usual, we'll start with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, 2023, Southeast leaders will not vote 10 billion naira for Igbo candidates. 2023, Southeast leaders who did not and vote 10 billion naira for Igbo candidates. Mr. Tekojo, I don't know, this is a new dimension to the 2023 presidential race. Now, the Igbos are already setting aside 10 billion naira for any person who is emerging from Igbo land or any person of Igbo extraction who become contesting on any major political platform we have. 10 billion naira in order to secure the Igbo presidency. So they're already talking to other parts of the country, the north and the west, and they need to allow an Igbo candidate to emerge and become president in the spirit of national unity and integration.
Well, expectedly, we are gradually approaching the election year proper, and so many things are propping up. One of which is the agitation for 2023 presidency of Igbo extraction. Yeah, you see, I read the story. The 10 billion naira set aside for an Igbo candidate. That is candidate, not aspirant.
Yes, at the end of the day, when the candidate is coming on major political party.
Good, and not an aspirant. Well, that is the wish for now. But what we're talking about is all about money. It's not really about money.
It's about the ability to convince others.
Yeah, to galvanize. You see,
support.
Unfortunately, the people from our brothers and sisters from that part of the country have not gotten their acts right. And time for 2023 election is actually getting it.
And when you say they've not gotten their act right, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what I mean was that, as we speak, they have two projects on their hands. One is that presidency we were talking about, and another one is the IPOB project, which they are prosecuting through proxies. Because you can't tell me that if we are sincere to face the issue, that they don't have some of these elites among them.
Supporting
them. No. Of course, it's glaring, it's obvious. That's what I mean. And to a large extent, that project has made people to lose confidence in them. We've often said this. What do you people want? If they want that project, they forget about president and freeze it. Then if it's a presidency, they forget about the institution for IPO or whatever. And freeze it. That is the what we're saying. Okay, now they are coming up with, okay, we have 10 billion, we are going to set aside for a candidate of a major political party. It's not even about the money. How many Nigerians have confidence in what they are putting?
In fact, what came to my mind is, what about at the end of the day, two candidates of Igbo extraction, imagine on the two major political parties.
They will divide the money to two.
Maybe on APC and PDP, what will not happen?
They will divide the money to two.
So, okay,
the 5 billion for
one,
5 billion for other ones. That is it. So that's why I say it's not honestly, it's not about money. Let us be honest. It is honesty that will help us at the regional level and at the national level. Honestly, it's not about money. It's not about, okay, the 10 billion you are talking about, are you not telling me that others will carry this kind of money? They also can raise the kind of money
to counter your own.
They can even raise more than that.
Exactly.
More than that.
I think it's just a commitment to show that
exactly.
we are interested in
exactly. And the people that are running the affairs of organizing people, are also out, to also lubricate themselves in the course of this executing this project. That is it. So if they actually, even before now, they ought to have been nationalized their interests. They ought to have reached out to various zones even before now. You don't come late and try to bamboozle your interest when they are already entrenched interest.
So entrenched interest.
Exactly, because what they are doing now is they are going to meet a rock midway, because people are already on ground. Even without me to that, they are interested in what we are talking about. Then you are now coming with your interest. So that's all we're talking about.
All right, let's quickly look at the riders to that lead stories. PDP governor silent on zoning, consensus candidates. APC governors passed vote of confidence on Governor Memala Buni committee as the Progressive Governor Forum Director General Saliu Mohammed Lokman resigns. It's time to reward Tinubu, Shetima, Babachi, tell President Muhammadu Buhari and stakeholders.
Yeah, you see, the issue of PDP governors silent on the zoning is a political strategy.
Okay.
They know what they're doing. They don't want to let out their strategy or their tactics for now. So keeping it close to their chest is a form of keeping people in abeyance that what are actually these people having in mind to do. So everybody will keep second guessing for now. Then the issue of a consensus candidate, I think, as an opposition political party, I think it's better for them so that they will not deepen their vices. As an opposition, if they have their own in-house crisis again, then it means that they are going nowhere.
Exactly.
And the issue, let me sound this. The APC as a party has serious crisis. It was yesterday the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, DG, Mohammed Salim, resigned from office.
Yes.
So
because of conflict of interest?
Conflict of interest. That secretariat is divided into two, the pro and the anti. Buni.
Yes.
Okay. Buni's responsibility was to be a kind of an interim arrangement. Okay, come in, bring up, then try to secure a day for us to conduct a national convention. I speak with you. Is it 17 months now to I think barely 30 months to election? APC has no constitutional leadership.
Yes.
What they are doing is an act of illegality, driven by personal interest of some cabals.
I think they are close to also organizing convention and to have
Exactly.
proper national working committee.
Yes. The issue of a conduct national convention, but what does it take for a ruling party that has the way with that?
Well, we have a paper ahead that will give us opportunity to discuss that very. We have an headline.
Okay.
Yes. And on the front page of leadership today is a double-barreled, front page with another lead story on the front page of leadership this morning. Progressive women move to break political barriers, and as we speak, they are organizing a conference for the first time today on how to actually define women participation, inclusiveness, their right, and also at the end of the day to present one voice ahead of the election, to present their style. And the theme for the conference is One Voice Women Uniting for Progress. I don't know, can the women be united to actually give the men a run for their money?
I can see that in the studio here. I am not a Nostradamus that predicts, but I can sit down in the studio here to say that this is an exercise in futility. And I say this with all sense of responsibility because the political system in Nigeria.
But it's easy for them to find their voice. They want to come together and find their voice.
The voice,
as women.
the voice will just be heard and nothing will happen. Then what is the essence of shouting and nobody is responding? Are you getting what I'm saying? And see, there are so many factors militating against women's active in politics. Now, one of these is the gender issue. Another one is a religious issue. Then another one is unconducive atmosphere that we find ourselves. My brother, you recall that before the 1970 went on recess, there was a bill or a motion, a bill introduced by Senator Olujimi.
Yes, about gender rights.
Gender equality. Look at the way it was shut down.
For cultural and religious reasons.
That's it. So they are permanently shut down. But where it's good that they are making an attempt to break out.
And these women are actually of the APC.
Yeah.
It is called
and I like the way
Progressive Women Conference.
Yeah, I like the way the leadership put their progressive women move to break
political and gender barriers. Yes.
So that is it. So and again, this is we're talking about the issue we're discussing. It's beyond the national conference. When we get to the practical people, there will be nowhere to sleep. You can't see them anywhere.
Well, I think people at the highest level of policy making are also behind this conference to be hosted by the wife of the president and the first lady, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, female ministers, party leaders, and other women leaders of the party are different.
Oh yeah, I think it's a good one that they're doing this. It's also part of I see it as part of a sensitization of women.
Exactly.
So that as time goes on, their mindset, their consciousness will beef up to such a time that other factors I have mentioned will give them the opportunity to come out fully. Women are very intelligent, fantastic. But unfortunately, the system we find ourselves here does not give them opportunity to manifest their full potential. Now, if you look at it statistically, if you look at the number of women that are corrupt in public office and the number of men that are corrupt in public office, men are higher. So women have something to offer, but unfortunately, like I said, they are not opportune to get there. So with this move now, if it continues, it's a good one. And I must thank the wife of the president, for coming up with this kind of a noble idea.
Yes, and I think the APC national woman leader, Stella Okotiti, who is also behind this. And at about now, the conference is underway at the International Conference Center here in Abuja, where women delegates are already gathering to start the first ever progressive women conference in Abuja. Well, viewers, we go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Why will a medical doctor work for 9 months, 16 months, 19 months without getting paid?
But you see how much the kidnappers are picking for victims.
My thing is, government should, I think, all the stakeholders in this, get that, and I think you get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once again, to support your energy will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
All right, welcome back. We're still inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning, January 18, 2022. And of course, I'm still in the studio with my guest, Atekojo Samson Usman, an Abuja-based lawyer, journalist, and public affairs analyst, working with Daily Post newspaper. Thank you for being with us so far. All right, let's look at the topic on our menu this morning, the THISDAY newspaper. On the front page of THISDAY, Matawale banditry not ending in Zamfara anytime soon. According to Zamfara State Governor Muhammad Bello Matawale, is saying banditry is not ending in Zamfara anytime soon. Alleges insiders sabotage negotiation with criminals, promises to name terrorism collaborators, put recent casualties at 58. Terrorists have dislodged many villages in Katsina, says Governor Aminu Bello Masari. Before my guest in the studio, we aim on the story. Let's quickly hear from a security expert, Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Managing Director, Beacon Consulting Limited, joining us from a remote location. Good morning, Dr. Kabiru.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How is Abuja today?
Good. We're watching and waiting for the outcome of the high-profile trial that's ongoing. Otherwise, everything is calm and good.
Exactly. You are talking about the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu.
Exactly.
All right, Dr. Kabiru, you saw what is on the front page of THISDAY. I don't know why the governor is saying that banditry will not end anytime soon in Zamfara State. Do you share in that sentiment?
Well, it is a sentiment, and everybody is entitled to his or her own views, his or her own perspective. But the moment you cross from being, an ordinary citizen like me to being a leader, then your opinions have consequences. In this instance, the responsibility for addressing the banditry, you bear, the governor in this instance bears a significant percentage of that responsibility. In the past, I know his argument would be, no, the security is in the exclusive list, therefore it's the federal government that should bear that responsibility. But the reality is that as the governor, he bears a significant percentage of that responsibility. So for him to come out and make such a statement, I think it's an abdication of that responsibility that he bears. Now, let's not forget that when he was, the court gave him the victory, because let's remember he's the governor today as a result of a court verdict, not really as a result of the fact that the majority of the people in the state voted for him. If I remember well, the party that won the elections that was overturned won by almost about 500,000 votes, while he won by about 100,000 votes. However, it is what it is. He's been sworn in as the governor. And one of the first things he did is to set up a committee to investigate the security challenges in the country, in the state rather. That committee, which was well respected, it comprised elder statesmen, previous officials of the state, and some senior retired security personnel. They did a far-reaching investigation, came up with recommendations, submitted that recommendations to him. How many years down the road? Almost 2+ years down the road, 3 years actually down the road. We are yet to hear from him on whether he's going to implement that report or what has prevented him from implementing the report. There are suggestions out there that the report may have indicted certain persons that are quote unquote untouchable. And so for him to remain politically correct, he wouldn't be able to implement that. So for me, those are the issues on the ground. What is preventing him to implement the recommendations of a committee that he himself set up, and that he paid the Zamfara state people's money for them to conduct that investigation. Why hasn't he made that report public? Why hasn't the white paper been made forward? And then all of a sudden, he's coming out to say that the report, the banditry is not likely to end soon. Clearly, an abdication of the responsibility that he had as the chief executive and the chairman of the State Security Council to end banditry. Frankly, I don't see any other way of seeing this than this.
All right, Dr. Kabir, the governor of Zamfara State, Mohammed Bello Mutawalli, actually spoke yesterday, Monday, at the State House, Abuja, after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, another disturbing aspect of that conversation with journalists yesterday by the governor is that he also reduced the killing in Zamfara to mere statistics, because he told journalists that political bandits, according to him, were the one inflating the figures, that actually 58 people died in 2 attacks on community and not 200 or 300 lives were lost, as some people are banding the figures. No, now, should we just reduce this to mere statistics, or we should talk about the sanctity of human life, whether it is 1 or 100?
The sanctity of human life supersedes any other thing. Now, you are a journalist, and you know before you go on air or before you publish any article, there are certain criteria and checklists and industry standards that you would have to follow. Now, several media platforms, several intelligence platforms have looked into that story, and I can bet you that the figure that is being bandied, which is around 200, is even a conservative figure. My consultancy also did our own, investigations, and we were able to get near that number. At least we were able to verify that 150 corpses were buried. Now, as you know, Zamfara is predominantly Muslim, even though there are a significant percentage of Christians in Zamfara. But in this instance, the majority of the victims were Muslims. Once they were dead, the next thing is to bury them. So when you are doing, in my field, when you are doing such investigations, one of the first things you do is to go to burial sites and try to verify the number of corpses there. And that's what we did. And we came up with a verified figure of at least 150. Now the other sources are saying 200, and they are basing it on witnesses, residents who have been on the ground. Now the narrative that the state government has been trying to sell for the past one year or thereabout has been to, as it were, show that there has been a reduction in the number of, casualties, fatalities as a result of the gunmen attack, banditry attacks. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. As a state governor, you want to show that. But it is also a responsibility for you to acknowledge when people are killed. Like you rightly said, whether it's 1 person, 10 persons, 100 persons, 1,000 persons, the idea is that people have died. And one of the first things you want to do is to show empathy. Now, you don't show empathy by denying the trauma that people have gone through. Reducing the number from 200 to 50-something is a denial of the trauma that your people are going through. So admitting that and putting in place measures to protect them better, I think would be a better message than talking about figures at this stage in time. Whether political bandits or not, journalists are not political bandits. Intelligence platforms like mine are not political bandits. We're out there to present the facts like they are. And we're not going to buy into the narrative, except if there is a counter narrative that is more logical, that is more scientifically driven, that now points us to a superior logic that says, no, the number is not 200, the number is not 150, the number is not 58. But by mere pointing to a figure without backing it with facts, unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of taking that. What we'll continue to do is to interrogate the matter, use industry standards to come up with the facts as they are.
All right, finally, Dr. Kabir, before I allow you to go, now, in your own opinion, don't you think we also have a political office holder policy politicians in the opposition?
Let's remember that he himself was in the opposition and he cross-carpeted. If I remember well, the case is still in court by the PDP, challenging his decision to remain as the governor. In fact, his deputy is still in the opposition. There is definitely a political angle to the security crisis in Zamfara, but not in the manner of the death and the casualties and fatalities that are happening. The political angle is the lack of decision, lack of authority, and the desire to be politically correct that has prevented certain actions to be taken. The nexus between the crisis and the gold mining industry that is in Zamfara state. What has been the contribution of these resources and the desire to control these resources to the political manifestation in the state? Those for me are the political issues, and not necessarily what he has described as political bandits. Taking responsibility, deciding not to be politically correct, but to do the right thing, what is best for Zamfara state, I think is what is desired at this moment.
Many thanks to you, Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Abuja-based security expert and Managing Director of Beacon Consulting Limited. Thank you for joining us this morning on Inside Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you so much. All right, have you heard Dr. Adamu? I think he has said it all, how we have reduced human life to mere statistics and also playing politics with solving insecurity challenge. You have something else to add?
Yes. He has said it all, but the aspect I'm looking at, the governor is the chief security officer of the state. Then he said there are political bandits.
Yes, people who don't want the insecurity to end, the people inflating figures of killing.
Oh, fine. Okay, that they are inflating figures of killing. So, well, whether the killing is only one or two, as small and infinitesimal as that figure is, these are human lives that has right to live in the international and local conventions.
Exactly.
So, why can't the government reach out to these people and dialogue? Because as a chief security officer, he gets intelligence reports within the jurisdiction of the state government. Why can't he reach out to these people for a dialogue? In leadership, especially as a governor of the state, no sacrifice will be too much for you to make.
Exactly.
Zamfara people are people who know themselves.
Exactly.
They are brothers, they are sisters, they are one in that state. Why can't they reach out? Because I have to believe that without an in-house conspirators, like he said, these bandits cannot be so destructive in a manner that is happening in Zamfara.
Exactly.
What is happening in Zamfara is grossly underreported. The casualties, when I saw people,
the governor is overreported. Saying who have been killed too much. No. Actually, that's not the number. It's only 2 or 3 that killed.
Can they go to farm in Zamfara today? And those who go to farm, how many of them have come back home? Was not about 2 weeks ago or so that they went to one government in something like that, and wreck the entire community.
I think
yes, and wreck communities that we have casualties close to over 200 bodies. I wrote the story. So that's what we're talking about here.
For want of time, we need to move away from that. Is a continuous discussion of security until we find a lasting solution to the intractable security challenge facing this country. Well, let's move away from that to a bit of business. Now, let's look at the sister publication of leadership newspaper, the National Economy. And today, on the front page of National Economy, rising prices of bread, meat, yam, raise inflation after 8 months decline. Rising prices of bread, meat, yam, raise inflation after 8 months decline. Food costlier in Cross River, Akwa Ibom, River State.
Yes.
How much do you buy food?
Is is a lamentable situation we find ourselves. And because of prices of bread, meat, and yam, and this the inflation we are talking about is a seasonal occurrence. Like now, if you talk of yam, how many people go to farm today? I know it is in the northern region that yam thrives more.
Exactly.
And it is that northern region that is has been embroiled in crisis, and that people hardly go to farm. And those who manage to go to farm, the next thing is that these bandits will come and wreck the whole thing. You see the situation where in Zafarasi, in Katsina, in Niger, farmers have to go into discussion with bandits.
Allow us to go to farm.
Please allow us. Then you divide it into two.
Oh my God.
And even when that is done, they will still come back again and start asking.
Yeah.
So it's as bad as that. So I will be surprised if yam is on the rise. And of course, meat, because of who are the major people that peddle around meat issue are the Fulanis. And today, Fulani people, that is the herders, cattle herders, and the farmers are at each other's Yugola, contending for space, fighting every day, killing every day. So, of course, it will affect it. And why this thing is happening, you discover that the cost of food in southern part of the country is higher than that of the northern.
Yes.
From the north to the south. And because of this IPOB interruptions again, where they have banned that they don't want to see anything and killing and attacking vehicles, killing food for them. So a lot of businessmen have stopped taking food from the northern region to the south. So it's also affecting them in a way. So there are so many. That is the casualty of insecurity. Insecurity brings a lot of things. Wreck the economy, wreck human being because you don't have access to quality food that you need to eat. So government must take this matter seriously and see what they can do to tackle everything. My brother, let me tell you one thing.
So there is a link between insecurity and inflation rate.
It's, of course. Okay, do we import yam? We don't import yam. We produce yam locally, and our soil are fertile. So why is yam as expensive as this? That the national economy is sister principle of leadership capturing it.
And don't you think there are also some of the economic policies from government that are also having
any economic policy or policies and media security will not work. In fact, anything from government will go down to the drain.
Wow.
So insecurity is the biggest problem that we have. So any government that fail to fight insecurity, that government will be excused the next election.
Exactly. Well, it's left for
And Nigerians will understand this.
It's left for Nigerians to decide, and I hope all of us are interested in having a safe and secure country. For want of time, we need to move to the last paper on our menu this morning, and that is the Nation newspaper. So we have to talk about politics again on the front page of the Nation this morning. APC committee to release convention guidelines today. Boni briefs president on dates, party to decide mood of primary. APC committee to release convention guidelines today. As Boni briefs president on dates for the convention, and party will also decide on mood of primary election. What's your take, Mr. Atekojo?
Yeah, we are all waiting for the convention guideline. But I must admit that it's coming rather too late. And after damage has been done to the party. Because, like I was saying earlier, just yesterday, the director of the Progressive Governors Forum that galvanizes the activities resigned. His resignation was not at his pleasure.
Yes.
It was as a result of crisis. And they are coming up with this thing now as a result of pressure. As we speak, there's also a factional chairman of factional national chairman of the ruling APC. Remember Musa Baudu?
Okay.
You have forgotten.
Okay.
He has been ranting.
Okay.
So, and that's exactly what we're talking about. If a governing party find it difficult to put their acts together then you imagine what they are transmitting to the entire system. If at that level, so when the convention guideline comes out, then we shall all see and know what they have between now and the national convention time. But you should also know that once the convention is held, this is once the convention is held and the national chairman emerges, either through election or through consensus, they are going to be grievances. So we now have time
to resolve them before the election.
Would there be time? Because I can say that the consultations, as people would say, are started. Or campaign, a mini campaign, has also started. So would they really have time to dialogue, to pacify, and to appeal to the aggrieved? So that's why I say, if they had done this thing before now, they would have been healing their wounds before getting into the election time proper. So let them come up with what they have concerning the electoral convention.
Well, as the saying goes, isn't it also better late than never?
Yeah, of course, it's better late than never.
The convention is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's better late than never anyway, as it were. But they are not sending a good signal that they are competent to cover this country. An organization like APC to have a law, a guiding law, a law,
That is the party constitution.
party constitution. Now, what they are doing, is it in tandem with their own party constitution?
And that's how some of the members are quarreling.
That's what they're quarreling.
Somebody like Mohammed Salih Ulukuman, the Director General of
yes,
Progressive Governors.
I knew that the man on
he
wrote a petition.
The February date for convention must be sacrosanct.
Exactly.
But now they say, leave, since you don't believe in the way we're running the party.
Exactly. So I remember that
you cannot actually be fighting your employer. The governor is employer and is, projecting an idea that is against that of the government.
Exactly. But he said, he is flowing from a perspective of the party position. That look, Buni-led committee have time frame. Exactly. That they have overstayed. Exactly. And their overstaying is injurious to the coordination of the party, which he is the Director General. Because I read his petition that he addressed to the chairman of APC Governors Forum.
Where he's serving. He's the Director General of the APC Governors Forum.
Yes, where he's serving. And I saw the context in some of the paragraph. He itemized why he's writing this petition. One of which is that the Malabuni-led technical committee has overstayed his period, and he ought to have quickly organized the national convention and relinquish that power. If I remember, some of them even went to court that you can't be a governor and be a national chairman of a party, because any exercise that is conducted under your tenure might be quite in court.
So I think that is one ball of problem for them. Another thing, according to the Nation this morning, as you can see on the rider, is the decision on mode of primary election. I think that again will also, become contentious, because some might say, "Oh, we want
no, there's no contention about that.
Direct," or "No, let people vote through delegates."
See, let me tell you one thing. We can read the psychology of APC from the National Assembly perspective. The party to decide mode of primary that they are talking about, they have already decided, and their decision is indirect primary. Because if they were really committed to the amendment of that Electoral Act Amendment Bill, by now, Mr. President would have signed it. The way he putting signed Petroleum and Industry Act. But that there's this back and forth, cockaboo story around it, means that these people are not interested in direct primary that afford the people themselves, the electorate, to choose. So their stand now, and at the end of the day, this I'm telling you is coming to pass as National Assembly resumes today, that they will just leave it that the party should decide. And no party will go for direct primary. All of them are indirect, where they will use what they call them, party structure to elect, and in doing that, they will maroon everybody.
I'm talking about the resumption of the National Assembly after the Christmas and the National and the New Year holiday. Do you foresee the National Assembly removing the controversial direct primary clause from the electoral bill?
Of course, of course.
In order to move forward.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have any option than to do exactly 100% of what Muhammad Buhari pointed out. And one of which is the removal of that clause that has to do with the direct primary.
That is causing a problem.
That's not the problem.
All right, let's see if we can have the front page of the Nation again. Now, I don't know what the Buni will be telling the president. Maybe, we are done with preparation, Mr. President. The convention will come up in February as planned.
Yeah, I think he has ever been working with Mr. President. His actions, his decisions are well known to Mr. President.
Yes. And remember, it was the president that also said, well, you have to organize the convention right on time, because if we enter the election in crisis, the opposition PDP might take the...
Because PDP, they are waiting in the wings. They are waiting in the wings. So that was why Mr. President had to send that panic information or signal to him. And they're not coming up the February date. Ordinarily, they would have collected without that pressure coming from various quarters, threatening the unity of the party. They would have done that.
Many thanks to Mr. Samson Atekoju Osman, lawyer, journalist and public affairs analyst, and as well worker with Daily Post newspaper.
Thank you.
We hope to see more of you on the
Thank you very much.
all right. Well, viewers, we need to go on a short break. When I come back, I'll be talking to Sunday Iswa, our National Assembly correspondent, to talk about the resumption of the National Assembly and tax ahead. I'll be back shortly.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Why will a medical doctor work for 9 months, 16 months, 19 months without getting paid?
But you see how much the numbers are picking for victims.
My goodness, problem with I think all the stakeholders get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning, January 18, 2022. Well, as I said earlier, I have been joined by Leadership National Assembly correspondent Sunday Iswa. Sunday, are you with me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We are fine here at the National Assembly, and the Senate is about the usual plenary after coming back from the Christmas and New Year recess. Top agenda for today, according to the Senate leader Yaya Abdullahi, is the issue of the Electoral Act bill that was rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari and sent back to them, and also the issue of constitution review will also top the agenda of the present Senate. Yaya Abdullahi has already said that most of the items that they had or that they have concerning the legislative agenda, most of them have been completed. It's only remaining the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the review of the 1999 Constitution. And he said if they conclude that, they are now going to focus more on ensuring that revenue generating agencies remit what is due for the country, and that they are going to ensure that anything they need to facilitate their operations will be given to them, because according to him, they want to ensure that money is generated to fund the 2022 budget. But as it is now, the order paper for today is not ready, and but the lawmakers are already in the chambers about to start their proceedings. But I don't know the agenda they are going to use, but certainly the Electoral Act Amendment Bill that was rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari is topping the issue, because even lawmakers, before going into the chambers, we saw them discussing two, but certainly the civil society organization have raised cogent issues concerning the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which has to do with errors. Errors were discovered in 11 clauses of the bill, and if these errors are not corrected by the National Assembly, it will be difficult for President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the bill. And so, issue of overriding President Muhammadu Buhari's veto has been put to rest. The lawmakers will now be focusing on, attending to the issues the president raised, issue of allowing political parties to have option of selecting their candidates. That means the issue of direct primaries now be changed to allow for either direct, indirect, and also consensus. So things are going on normal at the National Assembly, and we await to see the resolutions of the National Assembly today. Today may likely be a very short day for the lawmakers, because it's more of like a event that will take place today, where the Senate President will just give his speech thanking the lawmakers for all the support and appreciating them for working for the Nigerian people. And it will just be about speeches, and maybe tomorrow we can now have the electoral bill in the order paper. But as of today, the order paper is not ready, but the lawmakers are inside the chamber to continue with their legislative work. But certainly it's going to be an event of more like a ceremony, where the Senate President will give his speech, his welcoming speech, and everything will be done. So it's a day of ceremony. So we don't expect much deliberations from the lawmakers. But as of tomorrow, we will now see better discussions concerning the Electoral Act Amendment Bill.
All right, many thanks.
Are you with
Sunday issue? We wish you all the best in the coverage of the National Assembly. Thank you. All right, we have a breaking news: the trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has been adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday. This is coming after the commencement of the trial this morning by Justice Binta Inyako. At the trial this morning, our correspondent Kunle Olasami reported that the federal government denied allegations made against it by Nnamdi Kanu, that he was denied his freedom of religion and also was not given good food to eat, or he was treated to a poor feeding. The federal government denied the allegation, and while the Kanu entered the dock to take his plea, the trial judge, Justice Binta Inyako, adjourns the matter till tomorrow, when Kanu is expected to take his plea. Well, on this note, we've come to the end of Inside Nigeria for this morning. Make it this to us tomorrow for the midweek edition of Inside Nigeria. My name remains Bode Babibo. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.